And I find it most bizarre that in the last 27 years, every single party that's gained power at a general election has got there with a manifesto saying, we will reduce immigration. And every single one of them has increased immigration. And that tells me a story. That tells me that they probably want to do it, but can't do it. And it's not difficult. Making less people come here is very, very simple. You just make this less attractive than the place you've just came from, and they won't come. And whether that's, benefits, health service, how we treat them with accommodation, etc., then that would stop. But my fear, the more I look at this, the more concerned I get. I used to think that the UK was a sort of bastion of goodness and fairness and standards and quality. And it's not. And I'll explain why. I used to think that corruption and all these things were for other countries. Now, what we've seen in America very recently with the introduction of their Doge is the US aid thing came public. And it's quite evident from that many, many people, civil servants, politicians, NGOs, all of them have made a pretty penny in corruption from this one thing called US aid. Now if we accept that, we accept things like Nancy Pelosi, for example, who's made probably a few million in her time as a politician, but her net worth is like hundreds of millions. That's kind of weird, right? How do you do that? So you've got to accept that corruption is vast across in America. So if we're going to say that, well, and still have the beliefs I had that the UK was some bastion of standards and democracy, and we're somewhere immune to that, that takes some stretch of my imagination. So I think we have to, as a society, accept at least the possibility that some of our politicians, some of our NGOs, and some of our even civil servants might not be squeaky clean as we would love them to be. Once you get that into your head, you can then possibly get an answer to the question of why immigration hasn't dropped. And the reason I say that is we've now created an industry of immigration. And that industry has many mouths to feed and many millionaires and billionaires to create. And we do that by the accommodation in the hotels and the legal aid that we give. So there's, we've got solicitors, businesses who only deal with asylum and immigration cases. So that's another subsection of this industry of immigration. And we've got accommodation. We've got businesses, I know people who work for them, where their sole purpose for the business is to create, to supply furniture when people that are asylum seekers and immigrants go into public housing. They have to have furniture. So that's there's all these facets of these businesses. So it's a multi-billion pound industry called immigration. So when you turn up as the next Prime Minister and say, well, I told the people of the UK I was going to reduce our immigration, which is at 1.2 million per year, I'm going to reduce it. And you start finding that possibly some people that are donators, etc., whether that's donations legally or possibly brown envelopes, again, you need to ignore the notion that we're better than other people with this sort of stuff. Then and only then might you understand why our immigration doesn't come down.
Everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.